At 68 years old, Patty Loveless is finally saying out loud what so many country music fans have quietly believed for decades. Her bond with Vince Gill was never just about a hit duet or a few shared stages. It was something deeper, something rare in an industry built on spotlight and competition. Born Patricia Lee Ramey on January 4, 1957, in Pikeville, Kentucky, Patty was raised in the coal mining town of Elkhorn City, surrounded by the raw beauty of the Appalachian Mountains and the honest sounds of gospel, bluegrass, and traditional country music. Her father, a coal miner battling black lung disease, shaped her understanding of hardship early, while her mother encouraged her voice to grow in church harmonies and family sing-alongs. That voice, rich, aching, and unmistakably real, would eventually carry her far beyond Kentucky. As a young girl, she idolized Loretta Lynn and Dolly Parton, women who proved that someone from humble beginnings could rise and still stay true to where they came from. By her teenage years, she was already chasing Nashville dreams with her brother Roger, singing anywhere she could, even catching attention backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. But her road wasn't smooth. She married young, took the last name Loveless, which later became Loveless, and spent years grinding through small clubs, heartbreak, and disappointment. When that marriage ended, she returned to Kentucky to rebuild, then fought her way back to Nashville once again. In 1985, MCA Records finally signed her, and the world quickly learned what country music had been missing. Hits like Chains, Timber, I'm Falling in Love, and Don't Toss Us Away didn't just climb charts, they carried the weight of real life. Then came the 1990s, her golden era, when albums like Only What I Feel, When Fallen Angels Fly, and The Trouble with the Truth made her one of the most respected voices in the genre. Patty didn't sing songs, she lived inside them. And while others chased crossover fame, she stayed rooted in the kind of country that felt like dirt roads, hard goodbyes, and mountain faith. Her later work, especially Mountain Soul, proved she wasn't just preserving tradition, she was protecting it. But behind the awards, the Opry induction, and the critical praise, Patty's life remained quiet, private, and guarded. She found stability in her marriage to producer Emery Gordy Jr., a partnership built on love and music, and over time she stepped away from the industry noise. Yet even as she faded from the spotlight, one presence never faded from her story: Vince Gill. For years, fans admired their chemistry, especially on the iconic duet My Kind of Woman, My Kind of Man, where their harmonies didn't sound rehearsed, they sounded destined. And now, after decades of keeping her feelings mostly unspoken, Patty has finally opened up. She admits Vince wasn't just a collaborator. He was a steady friend who stayed when the lights dimmed, when the phone stopped ringing, when doubt crept in. She says he understood her voice in a way few ever did, pushing her not to overthink, not to perform, but to simply tell the truth. She remembers him standing quietly in the studio, listening with his eyes closed, then offering the kind of advice that hit straight to the soul: "Patty, just tell the story." And she did. Their friendship, she says, grew stronger because it was never built on fame, it was built on respect. In a business where people disappear the moment you stop trending, Vince remained constant, checking in through health scares, personal losses, and the quiet years when the world moved on to younger faces. Patty admits that kind of loyalty is rare, especially for women in country music, and having Vince in her corner made her feel less alone in an industry that can be brutal behind closed doors. And then there was the moment that still haunts fans to this day: George Jones's funeral in 2013, when Vince performed Go Rest High on That Mountain. Patty stood beside him, and when Vince's voice cracked with grief, she didn't hesitate. She held the harmony like a lifeline, and together they turned the performance into something sacred. Patty later admitted it wasn't planned. It wasn't polished. It was simply two hearts trying to survive a moment too heavy for words. That's what their connection has always been, something honest. Now, as Patty reflects on her legacy, she doesn't talk about Vince Gill like a headline or a rumor. She talks about him like family. Not by blood, but by bond. She says the world knows Vince as one of country music's finest musicians, but she knows him as something even greater: a man who stayed humble, who never forgot where he came from, and who used his gift to lift other people up. And with that one quiet confession, Patty Loveless reminds everyone of what country music is supposed to be. Not flashy, not fake, not manufactured. But real people, real pain, real loyalty, and the kind of friendship that lasts long after the applause fades.